Evening hours at Kim FM. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon to the dear listeners of Ikim FM. You are tuning to Above and Beyond. I'm your host Patricia Afrina, and Alhamdulillah, thank you very much for listening to us, for listening to this show where we try to seek how we can improve ourselves to go above and beyond in our lives. So, dear listeners, if you are listening to us through radio, be sure to check out our social media pages to get more updates on us and listen to our shows online. So do feel free to share your thoughts and opinions on our today's conversation on our Facebook page, facebook.com/ikimfm, and also through our YouTube page, youtube.com/at ikimfm_my. So going into today's conversation, this time we will talk about potential, and in this episode, we will see how we can discover our potential and know our limits through involvement in leadership. And to add to that, we to make this episode different, we will not stop there. We will go further, and this time we would like to emphasize on the responsibility, because to hold a position, no matter how big or small, comes with the demand to take responsibility for your actions, and every action that a leader makes will affect the people who work with them. So they need to think about accountability, and this is something even highlighted in Islam, how we should not make life difficult for others. So we can explore several angles in this episode. But first, let me introduce the speaker for today's conversation. He's a student in Islamic education from University Malaya. Welcome to the studio, Abrazaki bin Azhar. Assalamualaikum.
Wa salam. Thank you for having me here today.
It's such a pleasure to have you in the studio today, Abra. So before we start, could you first introduce a little bit about yourself?
All right. So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Abrazaki bin Azhar. I am a third year student from studying the Islamic education in University Malaya.
Mm.
And I am from the state or the city of Kuching, Sarawak.
Kuching and
Yes.
Sarawak. Mhm. So, Abra, our topic of today's conversation is leading the pack, unleashing the power of student leadership. So, when talking about being a leader, we can look to many examples, including our prophets. For example, the Prophet Sulaiman, right, who was a ruler of a vast kingdom, and of course, we could also reflect that on our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, to get the ball rolling for today's conversation, could you first define to us, how do you define the student leadership, and how do you think it defines the person you are today?
All right. When talking about student leadership, mainly it's as the name says, it's student leaders.
Yes.
So it's similar to leaders everywhere. It's just that in the context of student leadership, the person holding the position of leadership is a student at the same time, meaning they are pursuing their studies. For example, I'm doing my studies in university. It could mean students in schools as well, high schools, maybe like prefects. Those they are considered leaders as well.
Some
Yes.
sort of leadership.
Mhm. So by definition, I could say student leaders are a student in the position to influence or motivate or guide others towards the achievement of a goal. So, and sorry, what was your second question again? How it has shaped me?
So, how do you think it defines the person you are today?
How it defines the person that I am today? Becoming a student leader has taught me a lot about the things that you have mentioned, responsibility, accountability, because I have realized that there are more things in life that what you do not only affects you on your own, but it affects others as well, much more than you may think. Yeah. So before doing anything, you must consider lots and lots of things. Yes, too many plannings is required, but it is necessary for us to achieve the best possible outcome in a certain situation.
So it's like the ripple effect, right? So that's why you have to be mindful on every of your actions because
Hmm.
it will eventually affect other people. And I really like one of your points you mentioned about the definition of student leadership to influence or to motivate other people. So in this context, is to motivate the peers. However, maybe perhaps some of our listeners who are listening to us right now, maybe they are thinking to themselves that they are not in a position in an organization or a club, for example. So, in other words, you can say that they are just normal students.
Hmm.
Are not active in anything. So, perhaps can you share with us how can they practice leadership if they are not in one? Should they be in a position first?
Um, what we have to understand about becoming student leaders or leaders in general is that it begins with our own or leading yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that includes every little small things, every little decision that you do in life. Um, that includes waking up in the morning. Maybe your alarm clock rings at 6 a.m., but that alarm clock is supposed to wake you up,
Mm-hmm.
but you decide to just snooze it and keep on sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were able to, or you should be able to lead yourself to just sit and get out of bed, that is considered leading yourself. Even the smallest forms of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So, as students who are not involved in any clubs or societies, that is no problem because everyone, I think, should be able to lead themselves first. Once you are done with that, once you are comfortable with that, once you have full control or more control of yourself, you could look into discovering or trying new possibilities in your institution. Say in universities, we have lots of societies and clubs.
Yes.
So there's no shame or no wrong in trying out to lead in those positions or trying to be involved
Mm-hmm.
in the first place.
Mm-hmm. And it's like I really like that about leading yourself first. So this involves the conversation of discipline because
Hmm.
when talking about being a leader, you have to at the very least sort of like taking control of other people or that sense of arranging, right? So
Hmm.
and this involves a lot on discipline. So if you can't even discipline yourself, how can you discipline other
Exactly.
people?
Yes.
And still talking about those students who are not yet active in any activities, can you share with us maybe perhaps they don't know where to start, right?
Hmm.
So can you share with us some tips on how can they start to be active in extracurricular activities or take on leadership roles?
All right. I think it all starts with your intention,
Mm,
or what we call our niya or niyat.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my experience through becoming student leaders or before deciding to become a student leader itself, I have encountered situations where I question myself.
Mm,
Should I be doing this or should I not continue this? Because um, prior to deciding to accept the position, for example, there must be thoughts of, okay, if I accept this, my studies would be in danger.
so you
If
worry
what we
that will
call,
get affected.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
lots of things will be affected in my life. I won't have much free time. I am an avid. I play video games a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I used to,
Uh-huh.
but now sometimes I feel guilty to play.
So you here it means that you're worried about how you can balance your time between
Yes,
your personal time and also your your active
responsibilities. Yeah.
responsibility. Mm-hmm.
So talking about in our intention, I conveyed this, or I guess, problem or dilemma to my
Mm-hmm.
mother, and she always said,
Uh,
renew your intentions every time. Remember
mm,
why you should be doing this. Remember what you can provide to the people if you do accept this. Um, and like what you said just now, it's more to managing our time as well.
mm,
So as students, we have to realize that the main reason we are in our institution, be it university or high school,
mm,
the main focus or the main purpose we are there is to learn or to study.
yes.
And like the name suggests, this is all extracurricular activities. So Of course, it is not compulsory, but for you to accept the position, that means you have to be responsible. You have to be accountable for your decision.
Mm.
Meaning, if you have accepted the role, then you have to accept and face all the consequences that comes after. So, meaning when it comes to your studies and your responsibilities as student leaders or any extracurricular activities, whether you are just a member of the society,
Mm.
you should be managing your time well. That means getting your assignments done early as possible,
Yes.
as to free your time to make room for that extracurricular activities, because these things always have like what we call last minute stuff. Yes.
It's like
What's the word?
typical.
Yeah, very
The
very
last
typical
minute.
stuff. Yeah.
Mhm. So that's very interesting because it means that you don't have to be, because to for you to start in taking the leadership roles, right? You don't have to go directly to become a leader. You can
Hmm.
start by being a member first, and then from there, as you mentioned in the previous question, which is you need to first learn on how to lead yourself, how to discipline yourself. Then eventually, as you improving all these skills and also personality, improving your personality, then as you go through that, you can climb up to the ladder. So still talking about grabbing
Hmm.
opportunity, I've heard this question before. Actually, someone asked me about it. In a highly competitive situation where the opportunity is limited, but you have a lot of people here
Yeah.
trying to grab this opportunity, this limited opportunity, how can one stand out from the others?
Okay. One thing that I have realized throughout my time in university,
Mm,
um, the things that differentiate you from others, like you said, there are too many people for too little positions or too
yeah.
little space.
Mm,
So, how to make yourself more, what do you call it? Uh,
to be stand out,
Stand
to
out, yeah,
be
is one of the main things is your interpersonal skill,
mm,
the way you interact with others, the way you talk, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself. So, what that means is you have to train your interpersonal skills in terms of the most basic stuff is just talking to your friends.
so
For
it's like the
example,
communication skill.
yes, for communication skills is crucial
Mm,
because it might be surprising, but not too many people have good skills in communicating with others.
yes.
They may be able to just convey the information, but how effective can they convey the information is the
Mm,
question. So, for you to be able to promote yourself through your good interpersonal skill or your good communication skill, the person looking to fill the I would say the interviewer, I
mm,
guess, would notice something different in your delivery or in your the way you speak in general.
mm.
So once you have trained that, that will be your leverage to gain the position that you want or have an advantage in general. Yes.
Mm. And very interesting you talk about improving the interpersonal skills, right? Actually, in the previous episode, we talk about effective communication, and in that conversation, we talk about how we can make an impact impression to other people, and uh, one of the actually significant elements is the emotional intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
because in communication, not just a mere of relaying conversations or relaying messages, information, but also it involves the relaying of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And also this plays on the non-verbal language, your body language, right? Because that conveys around 70% of the messages that are trying to convey. So let's talk about your experience as student leader. We haven't gone deep into that. So can you walk us through how and when you first started getting involved in leadership?
All right. My first experience, I would say, I don't know if this counts as student leadership, but I would consider it as my first experience.
Mm.
Um, there was when I was elected as the student, uh, what do you call it? Ketua kelas.
Ketuklas.
Yeah, ketua kelas in
Uh-huh.
school when I was in Form 3, when I was
Okay.
15 years old. So that was my first experience. It was quite an interesting experience.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, my classmates and my teacher was very helpful in guiding me and in supporting me in the position. Next is when I was in Form 5, I was chosen as the president of the Young Entrepreneur Club in school. It's like the extracurricular club that you could join on Wednesdays. So you could either do like badam uniform,
Madam uniform.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my club was the Young Entrepreneur Club, where
Mm-hmm.
we sold stuff. We
Mm-hmm.
usually sold like canned drinks, food.
That's cool.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we were quite successful that year,
Mm-hmm.
alhamdulillah. Um, and then when my high school years ended, I started my studies in the foundation in Islamic education, Islamic studies
Mm-hmm.
in University Malaya as well. But the campus was not in the main campus in KL. The campus was in Kelantan. It was in Nilampuri.
Nilampuri.
Yes, we were one of the last batches there because now the institution has moved to another location in Kelantan.
Mm-hmm.
So during my time there, I was chosen as I had the opportunity to become the president of the Borneo Islamic Youth Group, or in short, we call Habibat. It stands for Himpunan Anak Belia Islam Borneo.
Ah, that's
Yes,
interesting.
yes. So I am from Sarawak,
Mm-hmm.
from Kuching. Um, I had the opportunity to lead the Borneo students. We had like 120 plus Borneo students from
Oh.
Sabah and Sarawak in the foundation program itself.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did was we held weekly Usra sessions, or we held academic activities, sports activities, just to fill up the students' time
Mm-hmm.
and try to convey valuable information or resource to them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then when my foundation studies ended, I got into University Malaya's main campus in KL, studying in Islamic education.
Mm-hmm.
So on my first year there, I was chosen as the first year student representative, where we were like the middleman between the high committee of the student council. We convey the information and we manage our year one students. So in our faculty, the Academy of Islamic Studies, the Islamic education program has every year is considered consistently is the most people, most intakes. So like my batch was 95 people when compared to other like other departments. They only had like 30 people
Oh,
plus
that's
every year.
very
Yes,
differ. Mm-hmm.
there's quite a big difference.
Uh-huh.
So year two came, and in the annual grand meeting, I had the opportunity to become elected as the vice president for the institution for the Islamic education students, and at the same time, I was the head of multimedia and technical department for my college project, which was the college dinner project. So I had to like balance both of the responsibilities at once. And my second year was, I thought, one of my toughest years in university, but seems like I was a bit wrong. I had no idea what year three had in store for me.
Uh-huh.
So right now I'm in my third year,
Mhm.
still studying the Islamic education, but I am no more involved in my faculty activities. I am fully committed to my residential college.
Ah.
So I have been elected as the president of my residential college, the third residential college, College Kediaman Tuanku Kursia. So it's one of the many residential colleges in University Malaya. And at the same time, I am also the speaker for a collective. All of the residential college come together, and we formed SPKUM,
SPK.
which is the Secretariat President College University Malaya, where we mainly discuss about regarding student welfare, any safety concerns or any residential concerns from our students, and we discuss it as a collective, and
Mm-hmm.
we convey it to the university management.
Mm-hmm. So all these OC position, right? Were you a volunteer? Were you volunteer yourself or like being selected?
Most of them I was selected.
You were selected.
Yes.
So for those, I mean, what gave you the confidence, right? When you're given this responsibility to hold a position, what gave you the confidence on doing the job?
One of the main motivators, or one of the main things or people that give
Mm.
me the confidence to accept the responsibility is my mother. She always advised me to take up the opportunity, because not everyone will have the opportunity offered
Yes.
to them.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to just deny the opportunity is what I would say would be too arrogant,
Mm-hmm.
even for me. Uh, I-
For me, because for me, it's not wrong for you to grab the
yeah,
opportunity because the opportunity is there.
exactly.
And then just imagine that there are other people who would want to be in your position. So when you are given that position to, the opportunity to have that, it is something that you should grab because eventually, if you miss it, then you might regret it in the future,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So, obviously, we know that positions in clubs and organizations, right, they provide grounds for students to
Yes.
cultivate their skills and gain experience. But I believe it is more than that. It is more than just mere responsibility and a sense of having control over something. So, from your own perspective, why do we need the role of student leaders?
Why we need student leaders is, for one, of course, the personal experience that you gain.
Mm,
Um, you won't really get the opportunity elsewhere.
mm-hmm,
So most students, there are only a few selected student leaders, let's say. So though only those selected students will gain the opportunity to gain the experience that would be offered once you accept the position of a student leader.
yes.
But why we need student leaders is mainly it's as the mediator between students and the organization's management or top management.
Mm,
Say for now, I am the president of the residential college. So we have the management of the college and management of the, yeah, so we'll focus on the residential college scope first.
mm,
As the president of the residential college, any information or any any information from the management of the residential college, I will convey, I will filter first, and I will convey and I will manage it to the residents of the residential college.
mm,
So any sort of feedback or any sort of complaints that the residents may have,
mm,
I will convey, I will process it, and I will convey it to the management. So it goes both ways, from
mm,
the management to the residents, and from the residents to the management as well.
mm,
So in a bigger scope, um, like I said, I was the speaker for the residential college president secretariat. So it's the same thing, just it's at the bigger scale. So it's not just stuck to the residential college management. It's also involved. We also involve the top management of the university, say the probably the vice chancellor or deputy vice chancellor. So we often have meetings with them
mm,
to discuss these matters regarding the student welfares and student safety. So we do it as a collective instead of just respective colleges voicing them out, which is to me quite inefficient, I guess.
mm, mm.
So if we do it all at once,
Col-
we become the I would say the messengers to the university management, voicing
Great.
out the students' cries and complaints.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like the focus, you're having like focus one, I would say significant voice so that it can be well heard compared to having a several voices. It's like small
Yes.
voices, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So, dear listeners, feel free to share your thoughts and comment on today's conversation on our Facebook page, facebook.com/ikimfm, or through our YouTube page, youtube.com/ at ikimfm_my. So we will go for a short break, and once we come back later, we will listen more from Abrazaki on today's conversation, leading the pack, unleashing the power of student leadership. So don't change the radio station. Stay tuned to Ikim FM, inspirasi utama anda. Assalamualaikum. Welcome back. We are still with Abra Zaki in today's conversation, leading the pack, unleashing the power of student leadership. So, Abra, before we went for a break just now, we talked about the need of student leadership. Now we know it's important to bring it forward. Remember, at the beginning of the conversation, I asked you to define the true meaning of student leadership. So now I would like to know what are the some of the characteristics of a good student leader?
Okay, thank you, Patricia. Characteristics of good student leaders. Um, I would like to focus first on the person itself, the person
Mm,
holding the position itself. What we talked about multiple times in this session was time management.
time management.
The person itself has to have good time management skills. Of course, like I said before, the main reason we are in the education institution is to learn, or
Yes.
you have your responsibilities as a student to
Mm,
go to class, to get your assignments done, and not burden your group members.
mm,
And as that happens often with student leaders everywhere,
yes.
I might have done that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very sorry to my group members. Secondly, is um, they have good managerial skills.
Mm,
What I mean by that is good leaders on in general, not just student leaders. They should and they would plan and prepare as far as ahead as possible.
mm,
So let's say you have a project coming in like 3 months. So you should not like be complacent and, oh, I have another 3 months, I will do it. I'll prepare for it like 1 month before.
it's like don't procrastinate.
Do not procrastinate at all.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, especially as students, they or we have the tendency to procrastinate. Um, they should realize that lots of things might happen.
Yes.
So you have to understand what sort of things you can control and what sort of things you cannot control.
Yes.
So you should take control of the things that you do have control over and get them settled as early and as early as possible
Mm,
for you to make room to prepare for the any unexpected situations or
mm,
problems that might happen. Um, and one of the most important things that I would like to highlight is to have and maintain a healthy work environment.
mm,
This means that you should understand your team members' capabilities and all of the commitments and responsibilities they have, especially as student leaders. Like I said before, we have our responsibilities as students. So let's say your event is um, what I would call the during the hectic weeks. Let's say you have your event during that time, and some of the students tell you that they cannot commit themselves to the event because they have submissions due
mm,
next week or stuff. So you have to understand and that they have that responsibility, and you do not have you should not stop them from um, completing that responsibility.
mm,
Uh, and if they have like any family problems, they have to go back and they cannot attend your meetings or the event itself, then you have to be considerate and empathetic towards your team members.
it cannot be too strict.
Yeah, you cannot be too
Mm,
strict because everyone has their own life.
yes.
You would not want that to happen to you as well.
Yes.
um, on the more professional side is good leaders would perform or strive to achieve efficient and fruitous
Mm-hmm.
meetings.
Mm-hmm.
They would not let the meeting get too far sidetracked
Mm-hmm.
because when people talk, they might get sidetracked too much, and that would cause the meeting to be quite inefficient.
Yeah.
And another thing is from the managerial aspect is good leaders should not micromanage their team members
Oh.
because everyone has their own roles.
Mm-hmm.
As much as you do not trust or you do not believe that the person is what do you call that word, competent to do the
Competent.
task,
Mm-hmm.
instead of micromanaging it, this is why it's important to plan ahead. So if you can identify that your teammate is not capable or not too capable on doing that task,
Mm.
you can teach them. You can cultivate them to become better at doing that task so that you don't have to micromanage them.
Yes.
And you can put your trust in them, and you do not have to worry about them doing that task without you supervising them all the time.
So there's one of the thing of being in let's say education institution, not just the one that you learn in the lecture hall,
Hmm.
but also all these other skills, right? You learn not just from your lecture, but also from your friends and peers.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
activities. Yeah. So that's why I think everyone, when they get into university, especially, they should try to get into something new, something different.
Yeah.
Like I myself, I never expected to see myself. One in IKEM FM.
Uh-huh.
Secondly, is to have this opportunity as a student leader
Mm.
to manage all these things, to have all these experiences. I've had the opportunity to go outside of the country
Mm.
to attend forums on residential colleges, which was a great opportunity. And like you said, you learn these things. Some of these things, most people only learn when they get into the work field and
Yes.
into the workforce. Yeah. So when you involve yourself in these activities, in this student leadership or extracurricular activities, especially in university,
Mm.
you get a first-hand experience of what it might be like. And you, when you get into the workforce, you would have the experience to manage the situation
Mm.
and to get the best outcome in the situation itself.
Mm. Now let's talk about leadership in Islamic perspective.
Mhm.
In Islam, a leader should not only do everything in their ability to make their people's lives simpler, but also offer support whenever possible. So furthermore, a leader should also be just so that no one is discriminated against because of their gender, color, or social class. In Surah Al-Ma'un, verse 1 to 7, Allah says, "Have you seen him who denies the judgment? Then he is the one who drives away the orphan harshly and urge not the feeding of the poor. So woe to the worshippers who are heedless of their prayer, those who show off by doing good deeds, and they forbid even neighborly needs." So from your own experience, how can they be just to themselves and other people?
Okay. I really like the definition. When you said that leaders should do everything in their power to do just for the people they are responsible of. That is one of the most crucial things as student leaders, where they have to understand what sort of responsibility that they hold.
Mm,
I, for one, have had instances where I do not realize that I have this much influence in this thing, where I should not do a certain thing because other people will see me and they will follow me.
mm,
So, um, first is understanding what sort of influence you might have to other people. And secondly is to not be hasty,
mm.
meaning when something happens, like I said, student leaders are the mediators between the management and the students.
Student.
So, in order for you to be just for the students as well as yourself, as well as the university management, you have to take into account every sort of outcome or
Mm.
every sort of thing that would happen if you do this, if you do any sort of decision.
So it goes back to the ripple effect.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So, like I said, unexpected things should you should prepare for unexpected things
Mm.
by making time for them. You should get the things that you have control done first, and for you to have free time for you to receive those unexpected things peacefully, I guess, as peaceful as it may become.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, what I often tell my friends or my uh, project directors in the residential college
Mm-hmm.
is I believe that there is no right or wrong decision in any given moment.
Mm.
There is only the best decision for that moment.
Yeah.
So everything, like I said before, everything that you do has an effect not only on yourself, but mainly sometimes to other people as well.
Yes.
So you really have to consider everything and find the outcome that might have the least negative
Negative
side
effect
effect.
on other
Yeah,
people.
what that may be what we call the lesser evil.
Mm.
Yes.
And I really like because listening to your sharing, right? I one thing I can conclude is that I think maybe this is one of your strategy being in leadership role is to prepare ahead for what will come because you cannot expect the unexpectedness even in anything
Yes.
in life when you edit anything that you are doing because we wouldn't know what will happen in the future. So one of the best tips that you can give here is that prepare ahead, plan as far as possible,
Mhm.
try to estimate the try to guess the possibility, the outcome
Yes.
that might happen. So as a good leader, right, you need to have at least prepare some solution, prepare with the solution if anything comes
Yes.
to the way when coming,
Backup plans
the
upon
backup
backup
plans.
plans. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in the early part of the conversation, Abra, I mentioned about the competitive situation.
Hmm.
So let's go deep a little bit into that. This competitive situation, we know that obtaining a position is not easy, right? Especially in a situation where the opportunity are limited compared to those who are trying to grab
Hmm.
that. So the journey to reach there tests your abilities from multiple aspects such as your social skills, cognitive ability, and emotional intelligence. And through this test, right, you are not alone. There are other people who are also on the journey, trying to reach the end before
Hmm.
you. So while the experience can teach you one or two things on becoming a better person, we cannot deny that the competition to become a leader to a point can become toxic. So this is where people often associate toxicity with leadership. And I remember reading somewhere on social media, right, where some students think that student leaders are so full of themselves and they don't care about the needs of other students after they're being elected into the position. So this is even one of the reasons why some people don't want to get themselves involved into joining clubs or activities. So what are your thoughts on this?
All right. It is a very interesting discussion because I would say in any sort of institution, there has every institution has their own history, or maybe currently going through a toxic leadership
Mm,
situation. Maybe so. In overcoming this problem, um, one thing is again you have to understand your responsibility um, as a Muslim as well. You
mm,
have to understand what sort of trust that the people has put upon you.
mm,
Let's say you are elected, which is the most democratic or the best way, I guess, for you to become or attain the position of student leader.
mm,
That means all of those people have trusted and put their trust on you um, to be their voice, to carry their requests or to carry their intentions
mm,
to the university. So it falls upon the person or the student leader itself for them to be responsible and to not get too full of themselves. Um, because when you attain the power or attain the position,
mm.
there are lots and lots of things that you can get away with.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just a matter of your moral and your um, ethics
Mm,
in leadership. It's a matter of you understanding and um, understanding what sort of responsibility that you hold and what sort of change you can bring.
mm,
So again, of course, it's up to you how you want to uh, use that power.
mm,
Of course, it's best for you to bring good to the people as much as you can, for you to bring as much change, positive change, as you can to the institution or to the organization,
mm,
because some of these toxicity happens. Um, for one, it happens because of the person itself. Secondly, it might happen because of the traditions, or yeah, the traditions that the institution may have.
mm,
So when you are elected or you are chosen as the student leader, you
Mm-hmm.
have the power to make a change,
Yes.
whether or not to continue the traditions, or
Mm.
you may want to go in a new direction, a more positive direction, direction that may not um, bring too much or the least amount of negative effect on other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people are too attached to the traditions, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they fail to realize um, what sort of effect that brings to other people as well to them.
Mm.
And we do see manifestation of that in TV shows now,
Mm.
and show regarding the high school traditions and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So there, that is like visual proof that traditions may not be as good as we think they are,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of how long or how meaningful they are to the people.
Mm-hmm.
Again, uh, as student leaders or as students or leaders in general, you may face backlash from the people that you are responsible for.
Yeah.
Sometimes the decisions that you make may not be the best, or they may not be happy with your decision.
Mm.
Um, but we have to understand that everyone has their own struggles, everyone has their own responsibilities. So, as student leaders, you may have to balance between what the university or the institution's management wants
Mm-hmm.
and what the students want. So, like I said before, there's no such thing as right or wrong decision. There's only
Mm.
the best
The
decision
best.
for that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have to be prepared to receive the backlash, and you have to be prepared to you have to understand that they may not they do not understand what sort of a dilemma you were in, or
Mm-hmm.
what sort of situation you may be in.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, one of the traits of a good leader is to be understanding and quite forgiving, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Perhaps before we go to the final question of this conversation, can we share with us maybe some just when we talk about moral, maybe can share some, I would say, your principles on view, maybe can to those who are also a leader right now, maybe on how they can be a better leader, or how can they seek for help or sources on how they can become a better leader.
Okay. I think it all begins with the most basic one is to become a leader to your own self.
Mm,
So when you become a leader to yourself, you understand what you may be capable of, what you how much you can give or how much you can tolerate in a certain situation, and that way it can aid you in this making the best decision.
mm,
If you do make a decision that may be out of your capabilities, that may become a problem for you as well as other people as well. So to advise the current student leaders who may not be confident or may not be too motivated in their um, tenure or their responsibility as of
mm,
now, I would say to take a step back, um, live a balanced life, and that includes your physical, your mental, as well your spiritual needs.
mm,
So for the physical needs, you should go for a walk, maybe a few times a week. Go to the gym, maybe. Um, for your mental needs, reading. I find reading helps you a lot in improving your understanding and your comprehension on matters.
mm,
You become more eloquent in talking, in understanding what people have to say,
yeah,
and that certainly aids you in becoming student leaders.
mm,
And in your spiritual balance, do not abandon your responsibilities as Muslims. You have your own responsibilities. The most basic one is to pray 5 times a day.
yeah,
Um, if you have time, where you should make time, do the supplementary ibadah. Maybe recite your zikr in the mornings and afternoons. Read the Quran. Um, I'm sure your schedule has to be packed, very packed. But if what people say is, if you make time for Allah, Allah will make time for you.
yes,
So it's much rush as you may think it may become if you were to add those supplementary ibadah. In the long run, you will realize that, oh, once you do that, Allah has made time for you. You are able to think more clearly. You are able to settle things more efficiently. Because sometimes the things that we do, the initial doing of the thing is not too long.
Yeah.
It's just that you face too many problems. You get sidetracked. You discuss the wrong things maybe in the meeting. That does not actually add to the final product of the meeting or the final goal of the meeting. So when you practice, you have a what do you call it? A routine, the spiritual routine. Inshallah, Allah will aid you in understanding in managing your time better.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I would say the main advice I would have for current student leaders is, or for everyone really, um, Muslims, is to have balanced life, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's in the spiritual matter or the physical as well as the mental matters. You cannot abandon any one of those,
Mm-hmm.
because once you do, you will realize that there's something wrong in your daily life or something wrong with your routine, and the only way to recover that is to do your best to find time and make time to live
Mm-hmm.
a balanced life, no
Okay.
matter what the challenges may be. Yeah,
So it is important to remember that you're still a student, no matter what, even though you have that position, it's just an extra to it. But at the end of the day, learn to forgive yourself, because even me myself, I've experienced my friend where they couldn't forgive themselves because of they say, "Oh, I'm a leader in a position something." So when things doesn't go to things that they expected, so they blame themselves
they
for
beat
it.
themselves up. Yeah,
So you don't have to worry about that, because at the end of the day, being in education institution, it's a part of the learning process, right?
exactly.
You're going to learn a lot of things, just as mentioned before, not just in the lecture hall, but also in your activities, in your involvement in clubs, or even in any organizations. So as we are reaching the end of this conversation, to wrap up all the things that you have shared, I'd like to leave you with one final question, which is, I think, is the most important one. We know that the quality of students nowadays is much talked about by adults. Some people doubt it, some people don't. So let's hear from a future leader himself. What do you think of the quality you and your other friends, your peers, possess, and how can younger generation, people like you, can bring change to the world?
All right, that is a very good question. So when we discuss about the quality of students nowadays,
Mm,
of course we receive, especially in this age of social media, everyone has something to say. Everyone wants to say something, whether or not that may be beneficial. It doesn't matter.
yeah.
So what I think, the quality of the students nowadays, it's quite varied. Um, Here we have this one end of the spectrum is, we have the quiet students, the more observant ones.
Mm,
Um, they may not be too confident in expressing themselves, in expressing their opinions. And here we have the other end of the spectrum, where we have the more vocal students, the students that always have something to say, the students that always want to bring change to the world, maybe.
mm,
So I think everyone has the same opportunity or the same playing ground. I would say it's fair play for everyone. What I'm trying to say is, everyone has potential to become
yeah.
great.
Yes.
Um, it's just a matter of what sort of thing would you prefer to regret, I guess.
How's
Um,
that?
it's either you regret not trying it, or you regret doing it but not to the best of your ability, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is, it doesn't really matter if you have achieved what you wanted to achieve or not. Of course, it is the goal of your whole responsibility. But if you do not, if you have not achieved that goal, um, you should not worry, because as long as you have done your best, your absolute best,
Mm-hmm.
that is uh, the best outcome that you could have expected, and that is all the world has expected from you, and you have done your best.
Mm-hmm.
That is what is important. So for um, the quality of the students is, everyone has the opportunity to become better. I think
Yeah.
there is no question about that. Especially when you are in universities, prestigious universities, or whatever university. Um, Everyone has the potential to improve, especially in regards to their soft skills and communication skills. So, because that does not necessarily require you to be involved in any sort of extracurricular activities.
Mm.
Those sort of skills you can polish from your day to day life. And the current situation of the quality of students, I think it's not fair for you to judge them based on what they have now.
Mm.
I think it's better for you to look at them and what sort of potential that they have. Every generation has their own skills. Every generation has their own um, set of um, leverage that they could use.
Mm.
Say maybe this generation is more competent in using technology. So um, we should understand how or in what aspect we could improve these students and not just teach everyone the same way. Being in the education field myself, we learn to adapt to everyone's different needs
Mm.
because not everyone can learn the same way. Not everyone can improve the same way. So, um, in regards to the quality of students, I think we have much more to offer. Um, Institutions should offer the students or students in general more opportunities to express themselves, to show what they can or they are capable of achieving, whether for themselves or for the university. I think our generation or our students have lots more to offer
Mm.
given the platform.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it's that we need trust from the, say, the experienced generation to give us the opportunity to listen to our inspiration and what we can bring to the society. And mashallah, in this conversation, we learn a lot. We talk about the definition of student leadership. And I really like the way you define it as to influence and also to motivate the peers in this conversation. Also, you talk about how you can motivate someone who are about to get used to student leadership and how they can improve themselves. We also talk about interestingly about the toxicity in leadership. So at the end of the day, it depends on your morals and your ethics. So with that being said, I would like to thank Abrazaki for his insights onto this topic, leading the pack, unleashing the power of student leadership. And we hope that today's sharing will be inspiring and also motivational to those who are listening to us either through radio or through our conversation online. And again, Abra, thank you for being with us in the studio. Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
It is such a pleasure. And dear listeners, if you miss any part of the show or would like to watch it again, you can watch it through our Facebook page, facebook.com/ikimfm, and also through our YouTube page, youtube.com/at ikimfm_my. So don't forget to tune in to us next week for more interesting conversations. So stay tuned to Ikim FM, inspirasi utama anda.